Lily Wick.
Yes.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
I haven't. And I'm so excited to be here because, as I've told you many times, my transitive property theory
Yes.
is that people like you for your personality, not like an actress, you know, who they like your acting. And we're friends. So I therefore think everyone's going to like me.
Everyone's going to like you. I literally can't imagine a world in which everyone
So I'm so happy to be
doesn't
here.
like you. So a very frequent request, every time it comes up on my stories, in my like what to cook posts, anything, anytime the word boarding school pops up, I get like 500 messages that are like, boarding school, what? Explain, what do you mean? And for you and I, boarding school is such a common thing. You especially, you born and raised New York City.
My dad went.
Your dad went.
Like my dad's whole side of the family went.
I don't even think I knew that. Where did your dad go?
He went to Salisbury, all boys.
Yes. So like totally common thing where you grew up. Probably a ton of the girls from the school you went to went. I am from North Carolina, so it was less common, but still like very.
We had a ton. I guess Charlotte. We had a ton of North Carolina kids.
Like still very, very. Nobody was confused.
Yes,
it was like in our social circle. But this is one of those times when you realize that like the West Coast and the East Coast have so many things that the middle of the country simply do not understand at all. And so I thought that we would do a boarding school primer as my best friend from boarding school.
Yes.
I thought that we would do that. So I want to start by introducing Lily Wick. Lily is born and raised in New York City. There was a Cambridge moment, but you know, we'll get into that on the next episode. And Lily came as a sophomore to the Lawrenceville School where we went to school. I started as a freshman. You started as a sophomore. You want to tell us about that? Why was that?
So I went to an all-girls school in New York City, and I was from a weird class where 20 of the 40 girls left after 8th grade. It was a common, like normally some kids go to co-ed schools in the city, some kids go to boarding school, some kids move, but this was we were a freak grade where 20 out of 40 kids left.
That felt lonely.
Yes, I only had a very few of my closest friends or close friends even that stayed. And I also, because I had lived in Cambridge for lower school and gone to a co-ed school, there was always a part of me, and I realize now that this sounds ironic, but that wanted like your normal quote unquote high school experience. I wanted a football team. I wanted boys. And being from New York, you don't get, I mean, I could have gone to a co-ed school in New York City. I think actually I applied out in 8th grade and didn't get in, now that I'm remembering, to some of the co-ed schools. And they don't take any, unlike Lawrenceville, which takes kids for 10th grade, co-ed schools in New York, you get in 9th grade or you don't.
Yeah.
So I stayed. But for me, as you know, it was a huge deal where my dad was like, it's your decision. And my mom was like, over my dead body, which at the time I didn't understand. Now that I have a son, like the thought of him going to boarding school. Literally forget it.
I think one of the big misconceptions of boarding school is that we were like shipped away. We were like naughty ass middle school girls.
No, you have to work your ass off to get in.
Yes. So boarding school is it's like applying to college.
Oh, yeah.
You take, for the college, you take SATs. For boarding school, you take SSATs, I think they're called, right? It's like the same sort of.
I was thinking PSATs are junior year. So I think it is. I think PSATs are practice. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's called SSATs, maybe secondary school, whatever.
Yep.
SSATs to get into boarding school. It's really hard and competitive to get in. I love what you just said, that you wanted the normal high school experience, and so that's why you went to boarding school.
Truly.
I mean, that makes complete sense. Like, you wanted grass, and you wanted to walk to class, and you wanted to, like, not be getting hit by a bus on your way crossing the street.
Honestly, the bus was less of a deal. I think it had so much more to do with boys, if I'm being honest. But yes, no, I wanted.
Yes.
I got through middle school, an all-girls school, middle school, watching Dawson's Creek. My parents had to sleep with me the night that Joey and Pacey broke up. It was, yes. And
you're like, I want that kind of drama.
And I was like, I want like guy friends. I want a big group of like co-ed friends. I've always had a lot of guy friends. I love guy friends. And I just wasn't. Oh, that's the other thing with New York City is that a lot of the private schools in New York City are single sex. Most of the boys' private schools end after 8th grade, and all the boys go to either boarding school or single sex schools. But I'd say the vast majority go to boarding school. The girls' high schools stay. So that also the number of boys, I'm making myself sound like a deranged boy crazy person right now, but the number of boys in New York also dwindles. Yes.
The boys
drastically.
The
there are no boys
and you
in New
only
York.
knew boys like through your parents' through family friends.
Yes. I mean, you have like these weird dances. That's a whole different podcast episode. But yes, for the most part, yes. Like we knew them through like Harry.
Yes.
You know them through family friends.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do think that one of the biggest misconceptions is that it's like for naughty kids, which is a whole other type of boarding school.
And those do exist,
and
to
those
be clear.
do exist.
Yes.
Military boarding schools and just kind of like
reform.
Correctional?
Yeah.
Boarding schools.
Boarding
But this is not that. This is they're called prep schools. They're called like college preparatory schools. Preparatory?
Preparatory.
College. Let's just go with prep.
Yep. I think
They're college
better.
prep schools, and they are all pretty old school. Like,
yeah,
they are kind of, they all do kind of have a reputation as like old money,
Definitely.
old family.
Well, for example, Lawrenceville, all the dorms are called houses, and all the houses are 100% last names of like wealthy people that went there and donated money.
That's right.
And like all the buildings, like
all the buildings.
All the buildings are named after, I mean, I'm saying this with authority and I have no idea, but my guess is after
yes, no,
people who endowed them, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I think one thing with Lawrenceville that I liked when I was looking at these schools is that, you know, to your point about them being, some are very religious, so you have chapel every morning.
Yes.
Some have only
My sister went to a school called Kent in Connecticut. Chapel all the time.
Yes. Lawrenceville was like, had a church with a synagogue and a mosque in it. And by in it, I mean like rooms that became them. They didn't have full. And Lawrenceville, one of the reasons I went, being the good atheist that I am, is that you only had to do 3 religious ceremonies, credits a semester. And I figured out that the Muslim service was 25 minutes after lunch. And so all of my religious credits at Lawrenceville were, yep, it was great.
Great diversity.
But yes,
all the Muslim kids were super cool.
Oh my God, amazing.
So we could hang out there.
Yeah, I was hanging out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But Lawrenceville, I think on the spectrum of most traditional to least traditional, you know, we didn't have a dress code.
Yes.
We could leave any weekend we wanted.
Yes.
There was like, I think more flexibility than some boarding schools where like you're only allowed to leave campus certain weekends.
Yes.
You have
very good point.
Boys have to wear coat and tie every day.
There are boarding schools. So Lawrenceville's in New Jersey. These boarding schools that are a bit more traditional that Lily's talking about are in like where's Andover and Exeter?
I think Andover and Exeter. That's the other thing with Lawrenceville. It's pretty big. I think Andover and Exeter actually aren't as traditional just because there's
I thought
it's
they
hard
were
to
like
wrangle.
the old school, like the ones that
no, like
residents went to.
Groton, Deerfield, like those are the ones I think. I don't know. You're gonna get a million hate messages after this because we don't know. We didn't go there.
We don't know about the other boarding schools,
but those are more in like Connecticut, Massachusetts, from New Hampshire. I think that's more that vibe.
Like New England.
Thank you.
And then there's a little Lawrenceville down in New Jersey.
Yep.
Lawrenceville's 10 minutes from Princeton on the bus, and we were allowed to just sign out and go into Princeton, which was like the coolest thing ever.
It was amazing. Pre-Uber, we'd like call a taxi.
Yeah, we'd call a taxi, or we'd take the bus.
Yep. I honestly never took the bus, but
I would take the bus over to Princeton for $1.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could like have these entire days. So I think another thing that would be helpful is to kind of talk through, because people are like, I don't understand. Like, you lived without your parents at age 14. Like, how? So just the actual logistics of boarding school. So we lived in houses, like you said.
I think call them dorms. I think we're getting confused.
Okay. But they're houses.
Freshman year, though, you're in a dorm. For all intents and purposes, you're in like a college like dorm.
Dorm, yes. There's a house dorm master who lives in the bottom floor and has like a full like big apartment that takes over the whole bottom of the dorm. And they actually 2 of them. You have a housemaster and an assistant housemaster, and they are like your keeper. They are sort of like in charge of your welfare. Some, of course, are better than others. Some you have like a great relationship with. Some are terrifying. And so you live in these dorms with people. You lived in a dorm and didn't have a ton of friends in your dorm.
I did not, because I went as a new. So basically, what happens is freshman year, you're in dorms.
Uh-huh.
Junior and senior year, the house system starts, which is kind of like Harry Potter. You're in the girls used to have 4. Now I think there's 8 girls' houses.
Yeah, I heard that.
Crazy. Boys, there was, I think, 8. We
Yeah.
could count them, but everyone will be bored.
Yeah.
Anyways, you move into the house system and you compete in interscholastically, academics,
But to
sports.
get into the house system, let's go back to that. So your freshman year, you're in a big dorm with every single freshman and girl, and then across the bowl is every single freshman.
The bowl
which
is like
a big
grass.
It's a big grassy pit where you hang out and you make
out
and you form your first loves.
Yep.
And you play soccer. And
I came as a
there.
freshman, as everyone likes to remind me.
was
So I don't know.
13 when I went to boarding school?
No, you were 14.
I was 14.
You
Okay.
turned 15 your freshman year.
So freshman year, you live with everybody. You kind of like form your friendships, and then you enter this like housing lottery system by requesting your friends. And it's like this whole game of like, okay, I'll request Lily. Lily will request her, because you can only request 2 people.
I wasn't there.
You
for
weren't
this.
there.
Yeah.
Hence being in McClellan. So you like do this full like circle of who you request. So I was in Kirby House, which is the cool house, and also was like known as the slutty house.
No, I would say naughty.
If you were naughty.
It was the naughty house.
Naughty's a nice way to put it.
But you would like, it wasn't just slutty. Like you guys were also like smoking pot, sneaking out. Like it was like a wild.
Yes.
I was not in that house.
Meanwhile, Lily was in McClellan because she just got placed wherever,
Yep.
which give us kind of the rep there.
I would say like ultra nerd.
Yeah, which like looking back was the best house to be in.
Like definitely. I was also because I had to fight so hard to go.
Yeah.
My mother was like, if you get in trouble at Lawrenceville, you will be on a train back to New York City faster. So I never broke any of the rules.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
Yeah, Lawrenceville is a 2-strike school. A lot of boarding schools, including the one my sister went to, are 1-strike policies. So if you get in trouble once, you break one of the rules. They're called majors.
So why don't we give a
Like a
list of
major.
Lawrenceville major? Honestly, I think we kind of know what they are, but there were some rules.
There were some. We were talking about this last night that one of our friends got kicked out for like not signing out to go to Princeton or something.
But I think there were multiple infractions leading up to that, if we're being honest.
drugs,
Drinking, sneaking out,
sneaking out,
which is when you sneak, like you sneak out of your dorm and you either sneak into a boys' dorm, which is wild. I can't imagine
truly
doing that.
wild.
Or you sneak out and you meet
Nella,
at like, the
Nella
field.
Morris.
Did she actually go in? Yes. No, it was Fieldhouse. No, it was Pop.
Ooh.
Or you sneak into
Hot.
one of the classroom buildings and you, speaking of Nell,
And you go make out.
yeah, you go make out or whatever it is you're doing.
The most popular place to have sex at Lawrenceville is the classrooms are like the kind of crown jewel of education at Lawrenceville. It's called the Harkness table. So there's no desks. Actually, I guess in like science there were desks.
God help us.
But
yeah.
there were no God help us. We're more of humanities gals.
Yeah.
Harkness tables, which are these huge like dining room tables, basically, but like huge.
And I think the wood is Harkness wood, which is where the name comes from.
Ooh,
I could be making that up. Anyways, keep going.
never heard that in my life, but
Yep.
I like it. We need a fact checker for this episode.
I've never actually heard of Harkness wood otherwise, so scratch that.
Harkness table, these huge tables, and each class was like 14 people per class or so, and you all sit facing each other at a
Well,
table.
yeah, and the idea there is like no one can hide. Like
No
no
one
one's
can
in the back
hide.
row. You're all in the front row. You're
It's like a
having
dinner party.
Yeah, you're having a conversation.
It's actually very cool.
Yes. Anyways, the Harkness table was where everyone went to make out.
That's the most important part of the Harkness table. That's where everyone
I was
goes.
way too scared to get caught in a
make out.
classroom, so I was made out like on the grass, like behind a bush.
You never hooked up on a Harkness table?
No. Oh my God.
Oh,
No.
that makes me kind of sad for you.
Yeah, me too.
What a
But
pivotal
I
experience.
was terrified of my mother.
Right. Donna would not have loved
No.
hearing that
No.
Lily Wick was
Oh my God, no. And then I think
banging it out on a Harkness table. Okay. We didn't finish the dorms.
no, but what we didn't finish was
Okay.
majors. Cheating.
Yes. Cheating was a big one. What else?
I think tobacco was 3 strikes and then you got a major. So you had to be caught smoking tobacco or chewing or whatever one does with tobacco 3 times before you got a major.
Before you got one major.
Yeah.
That was nice.
And then when we were, this is a different topic, but then when we were there, like it started to become a thing because of the 2 grades above us. If you got caught doing things off campus, you could get a major for. So like if you got busted at someone's house drinking by the cops or something,
Yes.
you could get a major for that. And then things got like really
Things
complicated.
got hairy.
Yeah.
So one of our best friends, Nellie, was
Who
a
sadly
days-
isn't here.
Who sadly isn't
She's the
here.
missing puzzle piece.
She should really be here.
Yeah.
Nellie was a day student, so she lived in Princeton. There if each grade is 800 people, I want to say day students make up like
No, the whole school's 800.
oh, the whole school. Sorry,
Each grade's, I think freshman year it's 100 and then it doubles to 200, I want to say.
so if the whole school is 800, I think there's 200 day students. Like it's a
third.
large. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a large part of the population. And at a lot of boarding schools, the day students have their own dorm, basically, like where they each have like a locker and da-da-da. But Lawrenceville very much integrates them in, which I think is so much cooler.
Yeah.
Because then you have people who will invite you over for dinner. And
Yeah.
so...
And we lived at Nell's parents' house.
at Nell's parents' house. Nell has the type of mother who is like, the
Mama
more the
bear,
merrier.
yeah.
Get over here. Like, she had feasts for us. We spent the night over there all the time.
Caroline moved in with them for a semester.
I moved in with them for my junior
spring
because I was having like severe panic attacks. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah. That is another episode.
That's a whole other episode.
Yep.
So day students were pivotal to this. So we didn't finish talking about the dorms. I got sorting hat on my head into Kirby with like all of my best friends. It was so fun. Kirby was like very much, I mean, it's funny. In my head, Kirby was the cool house, but I'm sure to the Stanley girls and to the...
I think for our grade...
What's the other one? Stanley and Stevens.
I think for our grade, Kirby was... But that was also where most of our friends were.
Right.
So
It's cool to us.
Yeah.
But I think what's great about a school like Lawrenceville is like the Stanley girls had their own whole crew.
Totally.
And so that was cool to them.
And the Stevens girls probably did too.
The Stevens girls, we just didn't know the Stevens girls. They were like...
Jockey.
They were jockey, yeah.
And this will shock you guys, we were not.
We were not jockey. Lily and I met first day of soccer. No, not JV soccer tryouts. Soccer tryouts.
No, you weren't there for soccer tryouts. Me and Nell were there.
Where was I?
You were still on summer break.
I had resigned to the fact that I was going to be on JV.
Yeah, and
perhaps
I pretended to throw up in a porta potty to get out of varsity soccer preseason because I realized quickly that it was not for me.
Straight to the JV team.
Yep.
Okay, so we met on the JV soccer field where we had resigned our fate to be. Our friend Nelly, is
hyper jock,
good at everything. Varsity soccer, varsity lacrosse. I guess that's all she
played JV basketball with us, to be fair.
No, she did not. She played down with us.
Yeah, she did.
Varsity basketball. And when varsity basketball didn't have teams, for some reason, they would let her play on our team sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played, anyway, Lily and I played a lot of JV teams. A big part of boarding school is, I think, the need to like keep you busy. Since otherwise you're just going to be...
They have 800 kids. They
have 800 kids. Like they have to
nightmare.
stack... Oh my God, that really is crazy logistical.
This is what I was about to say that I think we should do, is I think we should take people through a day at Lawrenceville.
Love that.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You start.
Okay. I would wake up and read because there was an immense... I know, I was a freak. There was an immense amount of reading and I'm not a quick reader. So
Lily went to Johns Hopkins. I went to UNC Chapel Hill. Let's just put it that way.
Again, fear of my mother. So I would, which I'm really not giving Donna justice. And she's dead, so she can't fight it.
We'll do another episode about Donna to revenge.
She was wonderful.
To revenge her name.
Avenge. Anyways, I would wake up early and do my history reading because there was just endless amounts of reading. That's the other thing, is they give you so much homework.
Academic.
Yeah. So I would wake up early, do my reading, and then I think first class was at 8. So some people would go to the dining hall and have breakfast. I was not one of those people. I would sometimes stop and get a coffee and Cinnamon Toast Crunch in a cup.
The freshman 15 at boarding school is the real deal. There was an entire bagel station.
Oh, yeah.
There was a stir fry bar.
Anyways, so then we'd stop at the dining hall if you wanted. And just to be clear, freshman year, you have your own dining hall. Junior and senior, sophomore, junior year, you're in Irwin together. And then senior year, you're in a different dining hall.
And in Irwin, each house has their own, they're called pods, which is like a big room. And some of the houses are like very territorial. But then others, like this is when we hung out with our guy friends and hung out with everyone.
Yeah, we always had lunch all together. But Kirby had a pod at the very back. You know how some houses had pods at the back? And some were those first two at the top of the stairs? Yeah. Those were where everyone hung out. Kirby had one at the back. And we would often have like Kirby only lunches. But you were not doing that with the McClellan. No, I was not. So you would go, 8 a.m. was your first, you had a class from 8 to 10:30. I think that was typically two classes. Mm-hmm. Then you had, what was it called?
Office hours?
No, it wasn't office hours. It begins with a C. I'm thinking
Consult?
Consultation.
Consultation. It was a time to go
meet with professors if
Meet
you
with
wanted.
professors.
Or it was like a break and you could go get like more snacks at the dining hall if you
Lily
wanted to.
was meeting with we didn't call them professors.
This is making me sound a lot more academic than I honestly was.
You were kinda.
Anyways.
Lily would go meet with the teachers. I would go make out with my boyfriend.
Yes, 100%. And then you would have 2 more classes, unless you had a double, which were agony.
Woo.
Doubles were horrible.
Not good.
And then you would have 2 more classes, and then you would have lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And typically lunch would be all of us and our friends would sit at the same table,
Mm-hmm.
guys and girls,
Mm-hmm.
every day, except for Tuesdays. Tuesday was the only day where we had like a mandatory. So a lot of schools, you have like mandatory dinners every night. Tuesday was the only day that you had mandatory lunch and you sat with your house. Do you remember that?
I'm so glad you're here. Lily has one of those freak memories.
You would not remember any
Oh
of
my
this.
God.
I don't
Yes.
remember what this lunch was called.
Me either. House lunch, maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, your house masters would be there and you would
Yep.
kind of like run logistics.
I wonder if they still call them
and
house
stuff.
masters.
Oh, yeah, because the word master is
Yep.
out. Yeah, I hope maybe
House
not.
leaders, maybe?
House leaders. House moms. No, they weren't always moms.
So and then you would have 2 more classes, then 2 or 3 more classes afterwards. Was there an afternoon consult?
Uh-huh.
There
Oh, yeah.
was. So maybe after lunch you had, I think after lunch was the afternoon consult, and that is when I would go to my Muslim services.
Yes.
And then you had 2 more classes, and then 2 or 3 more classes, and then you had
A very
classes-
short break.
classes were done at like 3, and sports started at 3:30.
Uh-huh.
And if you were me and Caroline, you realized how to get out of sports.
You sure did.
Because so
Seasonal allergies.
or no, our most genius was that if you didn't play like JV or varsity,
like fully out, yes.
yeah, if you didn't play JV or varsity, you could you would play house sports, which was intramural. So like
intramural between the houses.
my dorm, McClellan would play Kirby and like whatever, and they
Handball,
But
which is a really fun sport,
yeah,
actually.
having played JV soccer in the fall, we were exempt from playing house soccer in the spring because it wasn't fair. To everyone.
It wasn't fair to have us on the team. That is a wild.
So we got 6 weeks off, which was the best thing ever. We would like go. So
Didn't we have to go to like a yoga class once a week? Or, like we had to do like something aerobic.
We had to go to the treadmill, which we never did.
Oh yeah, we just had to go to the gym.
Yeah.
We had that's weird.
Super weird.
Yeah, and you would always walk on the treadmill. I remember that.
I did.
You were like the original. You know how the TikTok girls do like 12:33?
Yeah.
You were the original.
I know, from my mom's trainer.
You really were.
David
You would be
Hirsch.
at the highest
Agony.
incline, walking your little booty off. And
Yep.
I was like, I should have done that. Hey. I would have gone a 1 mile run and literally vomit in a trash can afterwards because of it.
But
Not
yeah, so we had
athletes.
sports for 2 hours. That everybody was at sports, and then
So we just had to sign into the gym and then
leave. And then, but otherwise, like you didn't have to sign into most sports because your coach would know if
Yeah.
you were not there. And then and then at 5:30 was dinner.
Uh-huh.
And then I believe, if I'm not making this up, we didn't have to sign in until I think 7:30 or 8 was sign in
on the weekdays.
on the weekdays. And so what we would do is there was a pizza place across the street called TJ's.
Mm-hmm.
And we would all go there at like 6 with all of our friends and get a slice of pizza.
Second dinner.
And then
The best piece of TJ's pizza. I don't know if you liked this one, but Grace and I, oh my God. It was a full pizza pie with penne alla vodka on top of it.
no, that is disgusting. I got broccoli.
Disgusting. It was so good. Oh, you got cheese and broccoli?
Mm-hmm. Still love it.
You're-
Broccoli cheddar soup.
That's pretty tasty.
I know.
But yeah, this
And
was
the fries. We would always get the
pasta.
fries.
Oh yeah, we fries
plate of
and
fries.
pizza.
Yep. And then
Mm.
8.
Bodies of steel.
we
Thank God you were
were
working out
good.
of that incline.
We were looking good. And then at 8, you could either sign into your dorm. And by sign in, it means that either your housemaster or house leader or one of your teachers, like different teachers sub different nights, would be there.
Yeah. You have like a whole house team. So the different teachers who didn't live in the dorm
would work
had
like
duty.
Yeah,
duty master.
duty leader.
Duty person had duty on these different nights. So it was nice because you got to know the different teachers.
And you could either
Anyway.
you would either sign in for the night and you would go up to your room to do homework, or you could sign out to the
You
library.
could send to the library.
And that was fun.
that was fun.
I made out in the bookcases a few times.
Oh, yeah.
And
Not you. For me, that was like a
check
Tuesday
me
night.
out. And you could be there until 10 p.m., I
Mhm.
think. And then
Which is crazy. That feels way too late, but you're completely right.
Well, the library for us was like literally like 20 feet across the green. Like it was not far.
Big, huge library. And then back then it was the four houses and the infirm.
The crescent, because they are in a crescent around the library.
The guy who designed Central Park designed Lawrenceville's campus. Olmsted.
I think I'm saying that right.
Olmsted.
And it's beautiful.
It's really a beautiful, stunningly beautiful campus.
Yep.
Okay, so that takes us through a weekday. What we have left out. So then you go back to your dorm.
We're about to blow people's minds with Saturday.
Wait, and then it's
Wednesdays.
And also, but to finish the weekday, it is lights out
at 11, I think.
Yeah, at 10:30 or 11 after you sign back in from the library, and they like go around.
But it depends on your housemaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like some housemasters were known for being more relaxed, and like if you were clearly working, they would let you stay up and work.
Mine, Mary Calvert, who now I have so much respect for, but at the time she was such a ball buster.
Yeah,
Mary Calvert took no
prisoners.
Mm-mm. She was cutthroat, like she was terrifying. And so our lights were out.
And what was I gonna say? Oh, Wednesdays, the exception to this rule, classes ended at noon because Wednesday afternoons, hence the whole sports focus. And this was one of my mom's things about boarding school. She was not an athlete, and she was like, I don't give a shit about the sports.
Nor were you.
Yeah.
So she's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, she was like, I don't give a shit about the sports or the facilities. Stop telling me about the facilities.
Yeah.
Which were amazing for the record.
Amazing, yeah.
Wednesday's class is ended at noon because then you would...
So you had 2 or 3 classes depending on your schedule.
Yeah. 2, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you would like have lunch, and then like starting at 1, you would either have home games or you would travel.
Hop on a bus
to
freaking Connecticut.
We never went to Connecticut.
Well, we didn't. We didn't do a lot of things to do with sports, but the athletes,
yes, that is fair,
went to the other big boarding schools.
Yeah.
So Lawrenceville is again down in New Jersey, and most of the big like
prep schools,
top 10 boarding schools. Lawrenceville's like a top 10 in the country boarding school. It's the only one that's not in New England.
Yep.
So all the New England, Taft, Deerfield, Andover, Exeter are all playing each other. And then there was like Little Lawrenceville. So Little Lawrenceville would try to like hang.
The varsity sports, to be clear.
Our boyfriends. would
not yours.
Yeah. Track star.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Would hop on buses
LOL.
and head up to New England, or we would go to Hunn. Was another local boarding school.
Hill
was our big
rival.
rival. Kill Hill, but they probably don't do that anymore.
My favorite one is Hill had power plant next to it, and so my favorite shirt was Jack and Jill went to Hill and died of nuclear radiation.
Yes, so Hill is our big rival,
like our homecoming,
and
rival.
And on big Hill days, every single team, JV soccer, every single team would play Hill at one school or the other. I guess once a year it was at Lawrenceville, once a year it was at Hill. Maybe
and they might have divided because it was too many. Like I don't think
we had so many fields because of practices and stuff. I think it was all. Don't you remember? It was like whoosh.
Yeah, it was Hill weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hill weekend. So the entire school would either go to one or the other, and every house would make a Hill T-shirt and sell it.
McClellan's row was so lame.
Every houses were really
except
bad.
for this Jack and Jill one.
Except for this one that said, Hill was beside a nuclear power plant. Jack and Jill went to Hill and died of nuclear radiation.
Killed me.
I wish I still had that T-shirt.
That's so good.
Hilarious.
I don't have any Lawrenceville gear.
Me either. Nellie has it all because
Susie, her mother.
Mm-hmm. So Wednesdays are half days, which means
wait
you had
for
to make
it,
up
ladies
for
and gentlemen.
It on
Saturdays we had class.
Saturdays, which again, now thinking back, like they had 800 kids to somehow keep safe and occupied. Of course they had Saturday classes.
And they didn't want 2 weekend nights of like people not having class the next day.
Yeah.
So we
Pure
really,
debauchery.
Saturday was the only night where they had to like, but that wasn't a school night.
Yeah. So Saturdays was the same as Wednesdays, half days. And then we would, the sportsy people would also have Saturday games.
Yep. And JV did too. We just weren't going very far. We played a lot of local public schools.
Yeah, we played a lot of local
Hunter and
public
Central.
schools. Yeah, the Lawrenceville High.
Yeah, I can't think of any of the other ones.
Yeah, we don't need to. That was Saturday. So then Saturday nights, the entertainment was
dances.
Dances.
Which I think were a lot more wild before we got there. Like we were there, the grade 2 grades
Yeah.
above us was really wild. And I think I think it goes in waves. Because,
Logan's hopefully listening to this.
Yes.
Logan's grade ruined it. Logan is Nellie's older sister, who we adore. And especially in high school, like we loved their whole class because
they were so cool. Remember when they graduated, we were so depressed.
Oh, we were so depressed.
Ugh.
Because Logan, Logan gave us this like insight into the
when
the
Logan
grade
had
2
parties,
years older.
Nell would bring us, and it
Yes.
was oh my god.
And Logan had sick parties.
And they were
They
in the
were.
barn.
And then Logan's grade ruined it for all of us.
They got in so much
They got
trouble.
in so much
So
trouble.
basically, our grade, like dances were pretty tame. Everything was pretty tame.
I mean, and by tame we mean no drugs and alcohol, but we were a bumping and grinding.
Yeah, but even still, I feel like they weren't really.
I feel like they were like girls were wearing like skank outfits.
Not compared to now. Wait, this is an anecdote that kills me about what girls wear now. I worked with a woman who said that her daughter packed for Coachella in a Ziploc bag. And I was like, that is the best way to describe outfits now. Like, I think for us, what was wild was like a little midriff.
Oh,
Like American Apparel, like just it was all spandex.
Or just like a 2C, what's that brand? CNC tank top.
Yes, exactly.
Double layered, so the
Double layered.
straps
Yeah,
were showing.
you're not seeing any nipple.
No nipple, no stomach.
Nope.
I honestly feel so bad for the girls of that age. Like, what a terrible expectation.
I know.
Of how to dress.
I know.
Yeah.
The Ziploc generation.
The Ziploc Generation Z. Gen Z. Oh, that's good.
Anyways, Logan,
Every house would host the dance.
yes, would host. I don't think
They were-
McClellan ever hosted a dance. For
I don't
what
think
it's worth.
McClellan.
Yeah,
But they probably did.
the
Nobody went.
So there was a house called Dickinson, a boys' house called Dickinson, and
The Dick Boys.
their housemaster was also my math teacher and the football coach, and I'm blank. Dr. Mattingly.
Yep.
Mattingly, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, he's science. Doesn't matter.
Something. Anyways, he was wonderful, but known for being a more lax
Yes.
housemaster.
If you were going to break parietals, you were going to do it at Dick.
Dick was the place to do it.
Mhm.
And there was definitely substances being consumed in Dick.
Sure were.
And the Dick dance was wild.
Buck wild. Think like fraternity party at a Southern university. Like
Someone
would-
broke a window grinding against it.
Yes.
But after that, this is what I'm saying. After that, they moved all the dances to our dining hall.
Yeah.
So like, things
we
were-
only got. I guess our sophomore year was the end of houses
having dances.
house
That's what I'm
dances at the
saying.
houses.
Like it was.
They were like frat parties. They would move out all the furniture. They would decorate. They would get like depending
but
on
not the
house.
dorm room. To be clear, not the dorm.
Oh,
so
yeah.
every house on
Good
its
call.
first floor had like a living room setup where there was like a TV and couches and like
What's
a
it
table.
called in Harry Potter? The common room. The common
Yeah, it was a
room.
common room.
Common room.
Anyways, that's where these dances were. I'm just trying to give people a visual here.
Yes. Very good. So the bottom floor was big common spaces. There was like maybe a study room, like a more formal room, and then like a big hangout room with the TV. It was the only place you could watch TV. We couldn't have TVs in our room. So yeah, they would clear out all the furniture. Different houses decorated different ways, had themes. I feel like the Dick Dance had like glow lights and like it was a frat party.
Yeah.
Like it was a full frat party.
And some people would drink for these, but
Oh, yeah.
for the most part, like compared to the stories I've heard from Logue from 2
Yes.
grades above us, it was. And then interestingly, I think it being cyclical, Nell, there are 4 girls in this family. Catherine was a year below us or 2 years below us?
2 years below us.
Yes, 2 years below us. And I think for Catherine's grade, things were wild again. Like a lot more people were drinking. So like, I do think it.
That's kind of how it is at like colleges too. Like with, a fraternity or whatever gets kicked off campus and then they come back. And then
Yes,
it's going
exactly. So like, I do think Lawrenceville got more wild again. Like I think it changes, but
good for them.
Good for them. We were pretty tame.
Yes. You were definitely tamer than I was.
Yes.
I dated a day student.
Yes.
And thus had a lot of freedom to go off campus and smoke a lot of pot.
Yeah, you sure did.
I sure did.
Bobby,
Lily's husband, was asking Lily, like, what was Caroline like in high school? And Lily was like, well, she was incredibly smart, but did not apply herself because she had a boyfriend who she was obsessed with. Yep. And that is right.
That is very true.
His group of friends was awesome. And they were such lovely people.
And they were all day students.
And they were stony baloney stoners, but they were all super smart and cool and nice guys.
Well, what I wanted to say,
and my brain couldn't keep up, and theirs could. They all went to Ivy Leagues, and
yep, there we are.
State school.
What I wanted to say is, I do think, having done Lawrenceville and loved it, and one of the amazing things with Lawrenceville is because it's so big, and they do have so much money. You can take classes like the elective classes you could take at Lawrenceville. I took Latin at Nightingale, and because I took Latin since 5th, whatever it was, I placed out of it early at
that's cool.
Lawrenceville. So I had, instead of taking a language, I had a class I had to fill. So I took like War and Peace in the Middle East. I took philosophy. I took all these electives that most high schools don't offer, and the teachers are amazing. So I think that's really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The electives were incredible. The teachers are
amazing.
What do we call them? Professor? Do we call them professors?
Mister.
Yeah.
Or if they were doctor. Like we weren't slighting the doctors.
There was no teacher name. Okay. They were incredible teachers. Like but
they were also like typically your sports
educated,
and they were your sports coaches, and you got to know them at the house. So you had this multifaceted relationship, which was cool because
it has a name like the triple threat or something.
Well, I definitely don't think it's a triple threat.
The triple threat. And that's what they put in the pamphlet.
Yeah.
No, it's something about threes, and it's that the teachers are all
like 3 touch points.
3 touch points.
Yes.
They're your teachers, they're in your houses, and they're on the sports fields. Every single teacher, whether they were a non-athlete like us, they were like in the gym.
And also for non-athletes, Caroline and I are also just not terribly artistically inclined. But Lawrenceville has an amazing dance department and an amazing theater department.
Yes.
We can't speak to it because neither of us.
Well, Lily.
Oh, please do tell me.
I actually can speak to the theater department. There was a thing called winter plays or something. Winter
Carnival?
And it was like all short plays that were student directed. Like only students dealt with them. So there was like the big plays that were like huge productions.
Yep.
You know, like full theater department, the whole thing. And then there was also this thing called winter shorts or whatever. And I was always in a winter short for some reason. Yes.
God, I have
and so they were
student
led, and I always had like these short little parts, and it was so fun. And I got to hang out with people who like I never would have known otherwise, and it was cool.
There you go. I didn't know about that.
Woman.
I took a bunch of art classes. Fitz was my favorite teacher. Why are you rolling your eyes?
Go, and then I'll tell my Fitz story.
Fitz was my favorite teacher. He was also the boys lacrosse coach. So talk about a Renaissance man, if you will.
Why'd you know the boys lacrosse team so well?
Because thanks to Fitz, that was another sports requirement I got out of. Instead of playing a sport, I filmed the boys lacrosse.
You sure did.
And I was such a bad filmer.
Yeah, how'd that go?
I got faked by all the fakes, so I missed every single goal.
So her job was to sit
in a tower,
which
was not safe.
No, it was very weird.
And I would wear like 80 layers because it was freezing.
And meanwhile, our lacrosse team was sick, so like everyone's at the lacrosse games,
and
like,
they needed
having
this film.
Fun.
They needed this film to be recruited to college, so it was important.
And she's up top filming, and so she's filming, and they would do a fake, and she'd go to the fake, and actually the ball was all the way over there.
No, and then you'd hear the whistle blow, and everybody cheer, and then you'd hear me on the camera go shit, and like zoom to the goal. It was not my best.
It wasn't great. Okay, so
Anyways,
sorry, back to Fitz.
He was also an art teacher, so
he's a cool guy.
I took drawing with him, which I loved. I took a bunch of art classes, which were amazing, and I loved, and just like again shows how Lawrenceville really did have. We're talking only about athletics, but it really did have the arts,
something
too.
for everyone.
Yeah.
So my Fitz story is that I took photography with him, and I was like so excited. It was so cool. There was a dark room, which was also a great place to because it was very hidden. It was like a basement because it was a dark room. So I took photography with Fitz, and I was very bad at it. Very, very bad at it. Not good at sports, not good at arts. And in my like final review, I will never forget
Fitz was
this.
honest.
Fitz was brutally honest, and he was one of those teachers who, if you were on his good side, you were adored. Like the lacrosse team boys he was adored. And if you weren't on his good side, he was brutally honest with you. And his final review of my like C- photography class was, "Your negatives are like crack babies. You abuse them."
That's amazing.
Like that's the one class that I was like, I'm gonna get an A in this. Maybe I won't have to go to state school.
Nope.
That was not it.
LOL.
Yeah, so Lawrenceville had amazing speakers come, like really amazing speakers.
Well, and I think that's also the benefit of being, so Lawrenceville's 40 or 55-minute train ride from New York. So not only do you have access to all the Princeton professors, which is amazing, and I'm sure Princeton gets amazing people to come speak.
And so they would parlay it.
But you also have people coming from New York, so it's super easy. And that brings me to the other thing I really want to say about Lawrenceville was for me, as I kind of said, leaving was a big deal. My mom really didn't want me to leave. I was super close with my family and with my parents, and my parents are awesome. And they were like, all my friends love my parents. My house was always the house everyone wanted to hang out at. Having had that experience with Nell and her family, if I could do it over again, I think I would want to do it and be a day student just because you get the experience. But I do think in high school,
like had your family
in Princeton,
totally.
like I think as you saw with your panic attacks junior year, again, a different episode, it's early to not be in the bosom of your family.
It's early.
And I do like, in some ways, I think we are so close because we had that experience. But I also think, and it's crazy that like we only had 3 years together and we are as close as we are.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've never lived in the same New York moments. But
yeah. But I do think overall, like it's early to not have you go home every night and have your parents be like, you're amazing. We love you. You can do this. Because it's stressful. I mean, applying to college from Lawrenceville,
really
academic.
I don't know if I would call it like the word competitive always like kind of, I don't know, freaks me out. Like it's not like other kids in the class were like
stealing your notes,
jockeying to get ahead of you or anything. But the majority of Lawrenceville goes to either an Ivy League or a top 20 school.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and UNC is a great school for all.
It is.
For all who I've been making fun of UNC, it really is a great school. But I was very much an in-state entry. Yeah, like I wouldn't call it hyper competitive, but the academics were a huge
and everyone there is really smart and working.
Yeah, I think that's why we also are so close with Susie and the Morrises, because they very much became our, like, they came to all of our sports games. Like,
we went over there. She made us dinner the night before the SAT, the PSAT.
Oh my gosh, good memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she really mother-henned us.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why she's, I mean.
And to be clear, there was
until you got married a second ago, you went to every single Thanksgiving at their family's house.
I mean, I wasn't neglected by my own, like I would,
yeah.
I would do the turkey bowl there, but no, I still like going there feels like home.
Yeah.
And I mean, also to be clear, it's not like there were 6 of us. There was like 15 of us that she was having over for dinner.
Oh yeah. You also, I mean, like you said, Lawrenceville was an hour train ride from the city. I came home with you all the time.
Almost every weekend, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of it, and this is the down part of Lawrenceville, is like senior spring is supposed to be a wild time. Like Lawrenceville, one of our best friends, guy friends, the infirmary thought that he had IBS because the only way to not go to class, if you had something due that you hadn't done it, the only way to not go to class was to have to like be sick and go to the infirmary.
Which we took advantage of.
Yes, but so like the only thing that they can't prove, like you can go and say you have a fever, you don't have whatever. The only thing they can't prove is diarrhea.
Explosive diarrhea.
Mm-hmm. So like they think that he has like a horrific intestinal issue. Mm-hmm. Anyways, there's no way for your mom to call and be like, she's sick, she's not coming in today, even if you're not sick. Like there is no way to cut class.
Yeah.
And so senior spring, even though it does not matter, you've worked your butt off. You're finally into college.
You're into Princeton and Johns Hopkins.
Wherever you're going.
Yeah.
Like you're going to class.
You're going to class. I just thought of a really good infirm story. Do you know what it is?
Oh, I sure do. Are we telling that here?
So I lost my virginity my junior year.
To her track star.
To my track star. And I obviously, you lose your virginity, you assume you're pregnant. Like you have no idea what your body's up to.
It's also, we always talk about this, but flash forward 20 years to being desperately trying to get pregnant. And it's like, I only wish, and I don't want to promote this to teens, if any teens are listening, it's very easy to get pregnant, but it's also very hard.
Yeah, like you got to do it at the right time.
Exactly.
There's literally a 36-hour window. I mean,
and even then you have a 30% chance.
And then you have
anyway, sorry, keep going.
So we like had sex with a condom. And of course I was like, I must be pregnant. I make Lily go to the infirm with me.
And that was like kind of dicey because we were admitting that you'd had sex. Like,
yeah, but it was like you could go, there are things you could go to the, and if you, this is sidetracking, but if you were so drunk that you needed to go to the infirm for help, if you got to the infirm without getting caught, you wouldn't get a major. Do you remember that?
No, but
if you
it
like
makes
self-selected.
But it was that thing with that though is that like everyone would still, like your teachers are still, your housemaster's still going to know. But I think you're right. You don't get a major. Yeah. But it's also such a ridiculous rule because you got to get to the infirm.
You literally had,
and the infirm
that
was
would be
in between, and the infirm was in between all of the girls' dorms. So like getting there,
like you had to like and if you're so
and
drunk,
remember sometimes they would test, like if someone had got wind that like a house, this only happened to boys' houses, that a house was like smoking a lot of pot. There were sometimes McClellan, all the boys' houses were here, no one, if you're listening, basically McClellan was on the way to the infirm from all the boys' houses. And sometimes at night at 10 p.m., we would hear like a big mob and we'd look out and they would be testing an entire boys' house. Do you remember that?
That is wild.
All right. Anyways, back to the infirm story.
So I'm like, Lily, we got to go to the infirm. I got to take a pregnancy test. And
I think to be clear, you were like, I'm pregnant. This is much more our relationship. You were like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, all right, fine. We're going to take a test. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
That still is what happened. Yes. Last month, I was like, shit, Lily, I think I'm pregnant. And you were like, take a fucking pregnancy test if you think you're pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I marched you.
Some things ever change. So Lily marches me to the infirm. We like, go up to the counter and I'm like, I need to take a pregnancy test. They're like, okay, sweetie. They hand me the pregnancy test.
No, we go in. We're in the room
Lily's
with like the
memory is so much
We
better.
go in. We're in the room with the curtains. And like they do like intake. It's like a hospital. It looks like a triage room in a hospital. She's on the hospital bed. She's asking all the questions. I'm standing there, and she's in these UN's gray Carolina sweatpants with her Uggs, and light gray, like not dark gray, like what I'm like, almost white. And
UNC down the leg.
Yeah, no, Carolina down the leg.
Is freakish.
And I remember like, and they're like, all right, Caroline, like, thank you. And your period was late. Mm-hmm. To the extent that we were tracking it. Anyways, and they were like, all right, here's your pregnancy test. And she got up to go take the pregnancy test. And I was like, Caroline. And the entire crotch of her sweatpants, like down to her knees, was bright red. I was like, I don't think you need to be taking that test.
Lily was like, and we're gonna head out now.
Thank you so much for your time.
That is truly one of my favorite stories that I haven't thought about in 10 years.
Me neither. I completely forgot about that.
That just popped into the old memory.
We spent a lot of time at the infirmary.
There was actually one time where we all, because you all live in a dorm together, where we all had the stomach flu, stomach barfy diarrheas, and you, me, Sarah McElwee, and Ellen, I think.
And Costa. Is that right? And maybe one more, and Salima, maybe?
Yeah, because like there were only so many infirm rooms. So like we were all, I think Salima was in there with us.
We were in a room with like 10 or 5 single beds.
And just like sitting in the dark, buckets beside us, just like vomiting our brains.
And that was like pre-iPads. Like we were just looking at each other wanting to die. We were just looking at
each other vomiting. Like that's a crazy, that's when boarding school was like,
you want to be home.
You want to be home. And that was not an option for me. Yeah. One thing that, if I were to ever, and again, Lily has just had her first son who turns 1 in a month.
Caroline's going to come back for it.
I'm going to come
George,
back
do you hear that?
George. I have the 3 boys. The second, I always, because I loved Lawrenceville so much, like these friendships are so important to me. I think you become a really independent person at a really young age.
And you learn also, and like this was definitely more of a learning curve for me. You learn how to like be a like you learn how to be a good roommate, etc. really early on. Like you learn how to be a good societal member.
Yeah.
In a way that I don't think you can, like you just don't think about when you're at home and your parent, like you're in your own room and your parents are doing anything, everything. Like you learn not to leave your wet clothes in the washing machine because it's annoying as shit.
Yeah.
For the person who has to come, like that kind of stuff, which you can totally learn in college, but I think the earlier you learn it, the better.
Totally. And then you go to college and you're the shithead roommate who like has never done her own laundry.
Yes, exactly.
That's a great point too. Yeah, you learn to be like a great member of a little community.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved Lawrenceville. Like, I loved it so much. When people were like, I can't believe you went to boarding school, I'm like, I loved it despite the junior year. Like,
it's hard though. I mean, I think high school's hard. And Lawrenceville, to our point, is like, it is a intense environment.
Yes.
Everyone there is really smart.
And you are, as we've just laid out, like, you are scheduled to the hilt.
Yes.
Like, you are constantly supposed to be somewhere excelling at something.
Yeah. I think, as a day student, you get, like, you get the friendship. Like,
do we need to move to Princeton?
I mean, I would move to, Bobby's, like, has a Venus bond about New Jersey, but I would move to Princeton in a heartbeat. Anyways. I'm
like, how do we get all of our kids to be at Lawrenceville at the same
time? Gotta get them
time?
in.
We do have to get them in. And it's also
very expensive.
Some of you have probably already Googled this by this point in the episode. It's obscenely expensive. I was on a big fat scholarship, which is how I got there. It was really expensive then. It has since become, like, I think the most expensive boarding school in the country.
Probably. I was not on a scholarship. It was entirely entitled.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Which is fine. I mean, I loved it. It was great.
Lawrenceville does have an incredible endowment, and I mean, to say that Lawrenceville was like a diverse community is a joke in the grand scheme, but there was a lot of diversity that was enabled by the endowment, which has a ton of scholarships.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our friends were on scholarships.
Totally. Yeah, no,
It's also hilarious that I was on a scholarship and given all of the information that we just shared.
Scholarship.
Skanky scholarship. Okay, what I was going to say, now that we both have children of our own, before I had kids, I was like always, because George went to the same school, you know, pre-K, K through 12, like loves it, has such amazing friendships, all the things. Is also a really independent person. Like, he's
But
like,
my sister-
I can't see the perks.
My sister went to the same school. Well, she went because we moved back to the city 4 through 12, and she does have amazing lifelong friendships.
She
But
does.
and I was thinking about this morning, is I was like, the difference is like she's known those people. Like, she is as good of friends technically from high school as I have from Lawrenceville. But she's known those people since she was 10 years old. Like, we met at 16.
Yeah.
So, like, you form, especially if you're someone who's, like, moved around a lot or whatever,
Yeah.
you form really intense friendships in a much shorter period of time.
Yeah. We had dinner 2 nights ago with a group of girls who were Kirby girls. So I keep in much better touch with them
Yeah.
than you do. And literally, you walk into the same room. I haven't seen Grace, Martha, and Isabel in a year. And
I mean, I don't think I've seen Grace and Martha since your wedding.
Yeah, and
Truly.
it literally feels like no time has
Yeah.
passed, right? Like, we know these people like inside
So
and out.
well. Yeah.
Like, we know what makes them tick. I would do anything for any of these people. Like, if Grace called you and was like, "There's a body in the back of my trunk," you'd be like, "Fuck, Grace."
I know. I feel like,
But,
God damn it. But okay.
all right.
Yeah.
I go, let's head to Long Island. Bury
to,
this thing.
to your parents' house.
Get this thing in the ground. What I keep trying to say.
Yeah, sorry.
Is that now that we have kids, it is impossible to even imagine not being there for every single sports game, every single prom, like all of the things that only Susie got to be there for. Susie and
Yes.
Johnny, we also love Nellie's dad, got to be there for, but it was also such an incredible experience that I can't imagine not even offering it.
And I think that was the issue for my parents. Whereas my dad was like, it's her decision. Because my dad went, he got it. And my dad, which I do think was an amazing thing at the time, is he said, the most important thing we can do right now is make sure she knows that we believe in her ability to know what's right for her at 15. Whereas my mom was like, over my dead fucking body. And so, which I also get. Like,
Yeah.
but I totally get. I can't imagine if my son came to me. His name is Wick. My last name is Wick, but it's my maiden name. His name is not Wick.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Don't ask. If he came to me and was like, "Mom, I really want to go," I don't know if I could be like, "No."
Yeah.
I think I'd probably be like, "All right, we're moving to Princeton."
100%.
Yeah.
You apply first.
Yep.
Wherever you get in, I'll be buying a cottage next door.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
It's hard, but it's
hard.
an amazing.
It's an amazing experience.
It is.
I think the sum of this podcast, because everyone is always so curious, is like, we loved it.
And it's an amazing
Incredible
academic
experience. I mean, I think what Lawrenceville really excels at is making you an incredible writer. I think we're both really good writers.
I was so over prepared for college. It was a joke.
Yeah,
like, I
completely.
got to college and I was the only person who knew how to do footnotes in
Oh my God.
in the
amount
document.
of footnotes.
I still like one of my friends for her thesis at Hopkins, I did every single footnote because like she was going to handwrite them in, and I was like, this is insane.
Oh yeah. That was ingrained into us.
Yeah.
Like being really good researchers, really good. Okay, the final story that we're going to tell, because
Okay.
I normally end so into that episodes with an IRL LOL.
Yep.
And in real life LOL. We're going way back here. We haven't laughed about this in a long time.
Oh,
You know what I'm
God.
going to tell?
Nope.
So Lily came to Lawrenceville as a new sophomore.
I have no idea what you're about to
Everyone already like has their friendship set, but a ton of people come as new sophomores. So you're not like totally in the lurch.
I think that you get like 100 new kids sophomore year or
Yeah.
something.
So it's like a lot of new kids are coming. It's not totally
but it was
overwhelming.
terrifying nonetheless.
But
But to be fair, I'd moved schools enough from moving,
Yeah.
whatever, that I was scared, but I wasn't.
you're also like, you got this.
I got this.
So Nellie and I become fast friends with her because of soccer and whatever. Maybe I became friends with you first, brought you into the Nellie
Yeah, yeah.
fold. Lily becomes our friend very quickly. And her birthday is September 21st. School probably started September 1st.
Oh my God, I know what you're going to tell.
On her
Oh my
birthday,
God.
I somehow get wind of the fact that she has been in 17 magazines.
Modeling my school skirt.
Modeling her Nightingale school uniform skirt. It is truly
Thank God no one can Google this.
the most embarrassing picture you've ever seen. It's like Lily Wick shows off like, private school fashion. And like, bless your heart, you were in just like the sweetest chubby faced face, like chin down to here.
For anyone watching, you can see it right now.
Shut up. So it's just this like sweet chubby faced, 15. It was like done the year before.
It was so embarrassing.
Somehow she tells us Lawrenceville has this.
I think my younger sister told you, to be fair.
You would never have told us. I somehow get wind of it. Nellie and I are like, so on people's birthdays, you used to like put pictures of them all over campus, whatever. Nellie and I get wind of this. We go to the Bunn Library archives, and by the grace of God, it is there. We look through every single 17 magazine for the past 2 years. We find it. Photocopies all over.
Literally, and do you remember what
the
they
entire
said?
Campus. What did they say?
Don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me? And they were like on the inside of every boy's bathrooms, to the point where like my JV soccer coach was at male teacher, Mr. Koistra, who was amazing, was asking. It was the most mortifying. I think it was my junior year.
No, it was not. I'm 100% positive it was your sophomore year.
Which is, oh my God.
I know that I did it like before you knew anyone.
It was, really kind of you. It was so I think I might still have one saved because I save everything like a freak.
Yes, you do. In your brain and in your
I think in like my memory box. Yep. I don't. That was unbelievable.
If you have it, we need to put it in the show notes.
It's in my storage unit, but yes.
Okay, we did it.
Okay. Are we doing
what else do we have to talk about? I was so into that.
Yeah.
You got one?
I do got one.
Go. What are you so into, Lily
I'm
Wick?
so into bone broth, which I'm trying to get Caroline on this train.
I ordered some
I know.
before we came here.
My husband is a super health freak. I am not. And for the longest time, he was like, bone broth, bone broth, bone broth. And I was like, that's disgusting. I barely can eat meat as it is. Finally, I tried it. Chicken bone broth. You put apple cider vinegar or you put lemon juice in it. You don't taste it.
You don't taste the like meatiness.
No, you don't taste it. And it has a ton of electrolytes for 50 calories. It has like 18 grams of protein. Like basically you cannot match it.
Protein.
And a ton of other good stuff. If my husband was here, he could tell you what it is. I don't know what they are, but it also puts your body into restore mode. So if you have a Fitbit or a Oura ring or anything like that measures your resting heart rate and like your body's able to restore, if you drink it, one day I did nothing but bone broth and like just vegetables, and I slept that night like I was like a 5-year-old boy. Like it is the deepest sleep. And now I just try and have 1 cup a day.
Yeah, when do you have it? Because you've been making it for me while I've been here. But do you always just do it random times?
I do it randomly. I think like best practice, my husband does it when he wakes up. Best practice is to do it like I think when you wake up and then before you fall asleep. I more do it like I wake up, I have coffee or matcha, I have breakfast. And then I'll do it at like 11 as like a mid-morning snack. And then
it actually like,
fills you up.
Yeah. I mean, not that we're like cutting calories, but like it
Definitely
makes you feel very satisfied and because of all the protein.
Yep. And so Brodo is the company in New York that I love. Yes. And they just changed their packaging so it's shelf stable. Yes. So you don't have to keep it in the freezer, which was always like annoying to have. But you just get these packs. I love it.
You throw it in a pot, you heat it up, stir in a little apple
cider
vinegar.
Put it in the microwave. I put it in a cup in the microwave on my microwave 2 minutes. I don't know what you want.
Oh my God, mine would be like 10 seconds.
Really? That's amazing.
Well,
Mama's got a big microwave.
Yeah, Mama's got a fancy no kitchen.
Put some apple cider vinegar in it. It's amazing.
Okay, do you want to know my thing that I'm so into?
Yes, I do.
The last time I was in New York City, as you will recall, I came to meet your tiny child.
Yep.
I brought all 3 of my children like a psychopath. And it was so hard and impossible. We were staying in a hotel. We had the stroller. Like, we were staying in
the standard.
So it was cobblestone streets. We were like, we were trying to do all these activities, and we made it really hard on ourselves because we were trying to like maximize time in New York City. Also, a 3-year-old in New York City, like, it's not a great idea.
No.
This time, I brought just Mattis, your godson. Mind you, you've also been watching him half the time, so
it's been amazing.
It's been easier on me, but I am so into having a kid in New York City. When I left after meeting Wiki in March, I was like, people who live in the city with children are actual sociopaths. Like, you are gluttons for punishment. What is wrong with you people? And now that I see your life, you've moved down to Tribeca where the streets are bigger.
Yep.
There's a lot more children. There are kids-oriented things everywhere.
Yep.
I've been here for 4 days. We leave in an hour. I feel so depressed to be leaving because life with a kid, like we have had nothing but there are amazing parks. the Magnetiles place, the zoos, the museums. Like, we've had so much fun.
We
New
didn't
York
take
City-
him to a single museum, but hypothetically speaking. Hypothetically speaking.
Lily, this is my podcast.
I'm doing the couple thing.
Don't
Correct the details. I know.
the
Sorry,
details.
Sorry.
Anyway, like I was saying, we took Mattis to a lot of museums, and it's just been so much fun. And I feel so good about you and where your life is with baby Wiki in the city right now.
It's great. It is great right now. I do think.
Really freaking.
I mean,
fun.
the downside of New York is it's really expensive.
It's really expensive.
But it's amazing with young kids because you don't. I think in some ways I miss getting in my car and being able to drive. I love a suburban supermarket, Target, you name it.
You do.
I really do.
So she's always like at Lawrenceville. She used to take a taxi just to go to Target to like fill up on toiletries.
Yes, I love a suburban.
She's a city kid.
Yeah,
like, she gets.
I love it, and the fact that you can like bring the cart to your car, put it in your trunk, drive home. I think that's incredible. But at the same time, I think with a young baby or with kids, it can, and for me, and again, I grew up in the city, so it can feel isolating to like have to get the kid in the car seat to do this. To like, what I love about this is like, I pop him in the stroller.
Yes.
I walk down to Target. I see people I know on the way.
Yes.
Tribeca is also a little community, which is really nice.
That's the thing that's probably the thing I'm just obsessed with New York. I love everything about being here. I always tell you this, it's so cheesy, but like when I'm walking the streets with my earpods in, like I feel like I'm in my own movie. Like there's things to do, you shop, there's the shopping, the food, like there's crazy looking people everywhere. But yeah, I live, as you know, on a hillside, and so even going on like
to get coffee,
I can't walk to get coffee.
Yeah,
and it feels so good to like wake up, walk to go get a coffee. Like you always have something to do.
Yeah. So
I'm so into your life right now.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. I will say the downside of that is like, because there's always something to do, you hemorrhage money.
Oh, it's insane. Like the amount of money I will never look at this credit card statement from this week.
Don't do it.
Especially because we have just been like leaning into Mattis's every indulgence to like keep his little mercurial 5-year-old self-happy mood happy. He is going home with about 17 turtle stuffies,
turtle everything,
turtle watch, 2 turtle necklaces, like
pins.
The kid is flush with turtles.
He is.
He got everything he wanted, but like he's gonna remember this forever.
Yep, he will. I hope.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh
That's
God,
boarding
this is
school,
so fun.
guys.
I know. I can't wait for all the questions you're gonna get.
I know. I'm scared.